Hello, I'm Lucy from Colouring in the Midst of Madness, and today I am bringing you a review of the UK edition of World of Flowers. Now this is the 7th book by Johanna Basford, and it publishes on the 25th of October. This book is absolutely beautiful and I just love it. If you want a silent, quick flick through, there is a link to that in the description box. This will be done at a bit more of a leisurely pace. So I got sent this book last week, and you can see my unboxing video of it. Again, there's a link in the description. And it was just the most wonderful surprise, and it's just such a beautiful book. So it's 25 centimetres square, which is the same size as the other UK editions, and it also has this lovely dust jacket and this gorgeous pale pink card cover. So you can take the dust jacket off when you're colouring so that it doesn't get damaged. You can also colour this. It's quite shiny, so the best thing to use is alcohol markers because nothing else really sticks, but it is definitely colourable. And then you can pop it back on at the end so that it all stays really nice and pristine. So this book contains 80 images that are all kind of flower themed, and I know a lot of people were kind of either super excited like I was or a little bit disappointed because I think they thought it was going to be a bit dull, but I can tell you now it isn't dull at all. Johanna has been so clever in kind of the different ways that she's incorporated flowers, and like just here we've got these beautiful borders. There are so many different ways in which she's drawn the flowers. She's drawn lots of different types, and as you'll see as we go through, it's just a really, really beautiful book, and I actually think it might be my favourite one. So the paper is pretty thick. It's kind of a medium thickness. It's the same as in the other UK editions. It's not the same as in the US edition. I have done a very lengthy written post and video post comparing the UK and US edition, and if you're at all unsure of which copy to get, I would strongly advise you to have a look at one of those so that you can make your decision, because there are some quite big differences that do affect your enjoyment of the book. But yeah, this is just gorgeous. There are so many sort of different styles and different size images, so I find that really good for people with physical and mental health problems. So as most of you will know, I have quite severe anxiety, and that's why I got into colouring, and I often can't concentrate for very long, and so a page like this is absolutely perfect because I can just colour one flower and it can take me however long it takes, but I will actually feel like I've achieved something because I kind of finished it. And having a sense of accomplishment, especially when you're ill and you're suffering from horrible symptoms and things are really difficult in your life, it's really nice to be able to kind of look at something that starts off blank and spend a bit of time on it and then see that you've actually done something. And so this book is really good because you've got everything from this sort of page all the way up to like full-on double-page spreads that are absolutely crammed with artwork. That'll take you days and possibly even weeks to colour. So I do think that this book's really good because it has such a variety of size of images, which is really good for good days and bad days and days where you can concentrate and days where you can't. So I mean, you can see the sort of the different size spaces just on these two pages. And don't forget that much as Johanna's work is very intricate, I mean, just look at this page. This is obviously one of the double page spreads I was talking about. It's just packed with content, from these little seed packets and the snail to all of these sort of jars and toadstools and just so much stuff. Again, you don't have to look at kind of the whole image and focus on like the whole thing all at once. You can just, like, I really like this one because it's split up into these boxes, so you could colour just this barometer, or just this tiny little bit with these two little vases, and again, you've kind of got this sense of accomplishment because you've finished something. So there really is something for everyone, as long as you like flowers. But yeah, the intricacy is pretty high in this book. I know that's what a lot of us like Johanna's work for, and this book certainly doesn't disappoint. But what I was saying earlier was you don't have to colour within each section, you can colour over them. So like these butterflies, you could colour within each little section, but equally you can just colour over that and do a beautiful blend, or just block colouring. Johanna's work is so kind of detailed and beautiful that actually it doesn't really matter how you colour it, it always looks gorgeous. So I do always say to people who are overwhelmed at sort of first sight when they look at intricate books to give it a go, because I certainly don't colour within each section all of the time. There are plenty of times where I will colour over things so that there's texture underneath, because otherwise I'd just be colouring one page for days and days and days, and I don't find that very satisfying. I know that some people have so much patience to be able to do that, and I just don't. I don't know if that's because of my anxiety or what, but I really struggle with that. So you've then got pages like this that are much, much emptier, and for those of you that like to draw and add your own content or backgrounds, this would be a really good one. You could easily put something in the centre here, or have it almost like kind of a window through into something, so you could do kind of wood or whatever. There's so much scope for these books, which I think is why so many of us love them so much. And there are just so many details in each page, and I don't even know how many times I've looked through these books in the last week, but every time I look through I find more content that I hadn't noticed before. There is just more stuff that I notice on every page, and you can really let your imagination run wild with these books. They're just beautiful. I think this is probably my favourite page. It's just absolutely packed with detail, and it's so pretty. And I've mentioned before that I absolutely love miniature things, and so this is just my dream, with this tiny little snail and the perfume process going on here into these little bottles, and just so much to look at. I don't know about other people, but I actually genuinely find it quite calming looking through books. So sometimes I can't focus at all, and my mind will just be completely racing, and I can't even settle on a page to colour. But I do find that actually looking through colouring books genuinely helps calm me down, especially nature focused ones like this, because it is kind of like you're going through a garden. As many of you all know, I have quite severe agoraphobia, and so going out is really, really difficult for me, and a lot of the time I don't, and I can't. And so going around gardens is not something that I do very often at all, and I don't have a garden at home, I live in a flat. And so seeing these beautiful floral images really does kind of, it's as close as I'm going to get to a garden most of the time. So it is genuinely good for my mental health, and hopefully lots of other people's, when you're looking at these gorgeous images. And as you'll see on my unboxing video, the box that it was sent in had been, it turns out, I found out after the video, it had been sprayed with perfume by Johanna, and she had also sent us a beautiful smelling soap, and so you had this wonderful floral fragrance while we were opening the boxes and then looking through the books. And I think I commented on that video that it genuinely felt like I was walking through a garden. So I certainly recommend to all of you, when you get your books, get some flowers or some floral perfume or a scented candle or something, because it honestly made such a difference when I was looking through. It really was a very kind of immersive experience. It was absolutely lovely. But these pages are just crammed. They're so beautiful. It does remind me of Secret Garden, this book, but I actually had another look through Secret Garden yesterday, and they're really not samey. Obviously they're quite similar because that was set in a garden, and this is obviously flowers, but they're not the same. There's very, very different content. So just because you have that book, I would certainly recommend this one. As I say, I think this probably is actually my favourite. I absolutely love colouring flowers. And I mean, even this page, like, I really don't like colouring patterns. The only time I colour patterns is mandalas when I'm really, really anxious, and I always do them in rainbow colours because then I don't have to pick, and it always works. But this is just beautiful. It's not like sort of any other normal geometric pattern or anything. So this page actually really does make me want to colour it, which is really rare for me. Patterns and I are not friends usually. And then you've got these much simpler pages like these beetles, so you could just colour the beetles on their own, or you could add all sorts of incredible backgrounds, which I have absolutely no knowledge of how to create at all. But yeah, I'm sure people will be turning these into absolute works of art, and things that I can only dream of. But it is a really, really beautiful book. Obviously it's printed double-sided, which I know isn't everyone's favourite, but Johanna has explained sort of why that is and why that's remaining. And it does mean that the book feels really, really cohesive. I do find that single-sided books don't feel very cohesive, and this really does. I love this page. It really reminds me of Ivy and the Inky Butterfly. It's so beautiful. And this is the page that I coloured. So Johanna very kindly sent us all, those of us that got advanced copies, a set of 24 Faber-Castell Polychromos pencils, and I have the full set, but I wanted to try a limited colour palette, and this looked really kind of Nordic and Norwegian to me, and so I looked up the colour schemes for their embroidery, because this kind of reminded me of embroidery, and I used just one blue, one red and one yellow pencil, and then I used white to blend on the berries, but everything else is unblended. And I'm actually really pleased with this. It's not often that my colouring turns out sort of as I plan it, and actually that one did, so I'm really pleased with that. And I kind of wish I'd done a tutorial, so I might have to do it in my other copy because I have a US copy as well. So if people are interested, do let me know, and I will consider doing a tutorial for how I did this, because it was actually really simple, and I really enjoyed doing it. And there's the skull that Johanna always puts in her books, and there was a heart earlier which I forgot to point out. And again, this is very reminiscent of Ivy and the Inky Butterfly. And here we are at the end. So there's a colour palette test page, which, as you can see, I've been testing things out on. Water-based pens are fine on this paper. Obviously do be careful and do test them on this page to check, because we all colour differently and I'd hate for anyone to ruin anything. Alcohol markers are an absolute no-no unless you're not bothered about the image behind. Pencils work beautifully on this paper. We'll actually just go back to the page I coloured and show you close up to the camera. So I'm hoping that you can see that because I haven't blended, you can see that the tooth is showing through. So there is a really, really good amount of tooth to this paper. And it's a really lovely kind of ivory colour. So it works really nicely with water-based pens. Wet media is fine as long as you're kind of sparing with the water. But just avoid alcohol markers. And then at the end we have got this fold out double page poster, and again it's double sided, so on the back it's got this other design, and this is perforated so you can remove it from the book and frame it if you want to. So yeah, that's a really nice kind of added extra at the back. So yeah, that's the UK edition. There is a written review, a written comparison post, a video comparison post, a flip through of this, and a flip through of the UK edition, as well as my unboxing. All of the links to those are in the description box, as are purchase links for the UK and the US edition. Do let me know in the comments what you think, and which copy you're going to be getting. And yeah, do please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so that you know when new videos are coming up, and I will try and do some tutorials and things. I'm trying to be a bit braver about that kind of thing. So let me know what you want to see from me, because I'm here to kind of give videos to you guys of what you want. So let me know what it is that you want, and I will see you again soon. Thanks so much for watching.